What's up, guys? Dirk here from Intelligent Cryptocurrency, and today I have an interesting look at the cryptocurrency space from an investment point of view. And I want to share with you exactly why I think that investing a small percentage of your net worth, so 5% or less, has the potential to actually double or triple your entire net worth. So that's what we're going to dive into today. I've prepared some slides for you. I'm going to show you both sides of the argument, both sides of the coin. And, if you're not already invested in cryptocurrencies and you don't own any, this might give you some interesting insights into why it might be a good idea to own some and maybe why it might not. So, as always, I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I present to you should be considered as financial advice. You should always do your own research and consult a professional before making any investment decisions, especially with cryptocurrencies, because it's highly risky. So, what I want to talk about today is cryptocurrencies as an investment and why I think it has so much potential. Why I think that everyone should actually own some cryptocurrency to some degree. And you'll see later on in this video, I actually share with you some insights into how that works and actually how multi-billionaire hedge fund managers are also starting to talk about how just owning 1 or 2% of Bitcoin could actually make a massive difference to your overall portfolio performance. So we'll get to that a little bit later. Since I've been around cryptocurrencies since about 2014, 2015, when I started actively first buying my first Bitcoins and things like that. So I've seen a lot over the last few years. I've seen the whole space grow. I've seen a lot of interesting things. I've also seen a lot of scams and frauds. I've had so many questions that I've seen being asked, about is cryptocurrency a scam or not? Is Bitcoin legit? Should you own it? Should you not own it? Why should you do it? From people saying, it's absolutely something that you shouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, and to other people saying, hey, I'm putting like 80 to 90% of my net worth in it. Again, that's something I really, really don't recommend. Even though I'm not a financial advisor, don't put huge amounts of your net worth into something as volatile as cryptocurrency. So the whole thing, why I like crypto so much as an investment, is because of the asymmetric nature of it. Now, in case you don't know what asymmetry is, basically here's a little diagram that shows you. Symmetric basically means if you draw a line right down the middle, each side is completely equal. And asymmetric means if you draw a line in the middle, the left side is different to the right side. Okay, so an asymmetric bet, what that means is that the risk that you put in is limited to what you put in, whereas the potential upside is much, much higher, as demonstrated right over here. So if you put $1,000 into cryptocurrency, your risk is $1,000, okay? You can't draw down further than 1,000. You put in 1,000, you can lose 1,000, and that's the limit of your risk. So you know what you're in for. But the potential upside, unlike many investments that produce 5 or 10 or 20 or 30% in a year at most, right? With cryptocurrencies, there's the potential to have not just a 10x, not just a 20x, not just a 50x, but even potentially 100x on that initial investment. And that's what makes it so special. So even just small bets can turn into massive, massive, massive profits. They have that potential. So the whole thing about cryptocurrencies, yes, it's a fairly new asset class. Yes, it's still largely unregulated. Yes, it is highly risky and highly volatile, and it could go to zero. But the potential upside for cryptocurrencies is massive, and that's what makes it so interesting. So, as an example, let's just say someone has a net worth of $100,000. Okay, liquid cash that's available. That's the net worth. Everything is liquid. Okay, and it can take 5% of that 100,000. So in that case, it would make it $5,000. Very simple math. That's why I chose this example, 100,000. If it would be a million, it would be 50,000 at 5%, right? And I'm sticking with 5% because I think that's a fairly reasonable number. I mean, of course, it can be less. It can be 4, 3, 2, 1%. Okay, and that's completely up to you. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. This is not financial advice, just an example. Okay, so if that 5% that you put in, that $5,000, were to 10x, that turns into $50,000, which is a 50% gain on net worth. So you risk 5, potentially get 50%, right? And if it 20x's, that 5K turns into 100,000. That would be doubling your net worth for a 5% risk. Same thing with 50x would turn into 250,000. That's a 2.5x on the net worth. And if that $5,000 were to 100x in a cryptocurrency, it could turn into $500,000, which would be insane. It would be a 5x on your entire net worth that you only risked 5% for. So you can see the asymmetric nature of these bets. And these numbers, I'm actually going to show you some real examples right now after this slide where this actually has happened. So this is not theoretical, like, hey, this is what happens if. This has already happened many, many times. And not just many years ago, also recently in the last year, in the last 2 years, these kind of returns are being seen in the cryptocurrency space. So right over here, you can get these potential gains in this example. If the investment were to 10x, 20x, 50x, or 100x, simply by risking 5% of that net worth of $5,000, right? So that's very, very significant upside for, in my opinion, very low risk. So let's just look at some examples. And starting out with way back in the day, this was after the first halving cycle with Bitcoin. In 367 days, November 2012 to November 2013, 9,648% gain. So if you had invested $5,000 into Bitcoin in November 2012, it could have turned into $482,000 from a $5,000 investment. And like we said in the example, if that net worth was 100,000 and the 5,000 was 5%, well, that 482K represents a 4.8x of the entire net worth. That's how much cryptocurrencies can actually move the needle with a very low comparative risk. Again, Bitcoin, this was from July 2016 to December 2017, a period of 526 days, so about a year and a half. This was a gain of 2,861%, which would have turned $5,000 into $143,000. Not as much as the previous example, but still turning 5 into 143,000. That is a pretty big ROI. But that's just Bitcoin. As you probably know, there are literally thousands of other cryptocurrencies of far smaller market caps, meaning that yes, they have higher risk, but they also have much higher upside potential because Bitcoin has already got a market cap of over $100 billion. But there are different cryptocurrencies that have market caps of in the millions or in the tens of millions that have much more potential upside. Right? So here's an example of a coin called Lend against the US dollar. So over a period of 295 days from September 2019 till right now, currently as I'm making this video, there's a gain of 8,538%, meaning that $5,000 would have turned into as much as $426,900, right? Absolutely nuts. That's just from a $5,000 investment. And yeah, it's an 85x. Okay, and that's recent. That's over the past year. This is happening all the time. It's not something that has happened in the past and isn't around anymore. Okay, it's happened in the past and it's been happening up to this point. And I think it will continue to happen. There will continue to be cryptocurrencies that are going to 10x, 20x, 50x, and 100x for the next foreseeable future. Maybe for as much as the next several years, there are these potential opportunities. Okay, here's another one, RLC. iExec, RLC against the US dollar. In the last 138 days or so, since March this year in 2020 till July 2020, a gain of 1,246%. No, it's not 100x, but it would have turned $5,000 into $62,000, which is still a very, very significant gain. Here's another one, Link against the US dollar. Over the last 471 days or so, so from April 2019 until July 2020, it had a gain of 2,015%. Again, not 100x, but that is a nice 20x gain, which would have turned $5,000 into just over $100,000. So you can see the downside risk is limited to what you put in, and the upside potential is massive. 10x, 20x, 50x, 100x, right? So this is why I'm such a fan of cryptocurrencies. And of course, like I've said, they are highly risky and they are highly volatile. Some of them will disappear. Some of them will go to zero. But the potential upside is unlike anything that you see anywhere else. Okay, and on average, the stock market returns about 7% a year. Okay, here you're doing 2,000% in just over a year on some coins, sometimes more, sometimes less. Here's another one, Kyber Network, KNC against the US dollar in the past 325 days from February 2019 until July 2020. You can see a gain of 1,193%. So again, not 100x or not at all, but this is almost 12x. So $5,000 would have turned into just shy of $60,000. And again, the risk would have been, you put in $5,000, the risk would have been that $5,000. The upside, you can see over here, almost 12x. So huge upside potential, and the downside is limited to what you put in. Here's another example from back in 2017. This is a coin called NEO against the US dollar. And in a period of 201 days, so from July 2017 to January 2018, it gained 4,525%, meaning a $5,000 bet on NEO back in July 2017 could have turned into $226,000 by January. So just about 6 months later. So absolutely nuts. Limited downside risk to what you put in. The upside, 10x, 20x, 50x, 100x potential. Okay, I'm not saying that's going to happen. Again, it is highly risky. But if you limit it to a small percentage of your net worth and what you're able to lose and what you're willing to set on fire, you know, it's got to be complete risk money. If you take that money and you throw it in the trash, like, you wouldn't really lose anything. It wouldn't affect your ability to pay bills. It wouldn't put your retirement in jeopardy. It wouldn't really affect you. It would just suck, but that's it, you know. And of course, again, not financial advice. Go consult a financial advisor before you make any investment decisions. But just want to show you this has been happening for the last years. It is still happening to this day, and I personally think it will continue to happen. These kind of massive exponential 10x, 20x, 50x, even 100x gains on specific cryptocurrencies. So just to put this into perspective, and maybe you've seen something like this before in the past, this is a bit outdated. It's since 2018, so the numbers will have changed a little bit, especially the valuations of things like Apple and Amazon and things like that. But you can see over here, to put this into perspective, all the money in the world, and you can see on the left how big that bubble is. And then it goes down into the stock markets, how much physical money there is. The market cap of gold, right? Where they compare Bitcoin as a potential competitor to gold. Bitcoin at this point in time has a market cap of 168 billion. Gold has 7.8 trillion. What would happen to the price of Bitcoin once, if that market cap would even go to half of gold's valuation, right? It would be really big. You can see over here, US dollar in circulation, Apple, Amazon, all cryptocurrencies, 202 billion. Again, that's a little bit outdated. It's from 2018. At this point in time, it's about 280, 290 billion, the value of all cryptocurrencies. But that's still nothing. You can see how small that is in comparison to everything else. You can see over here, Bitcoin 112, that was back in 2018. It's currently 168 billion as I'm recording this. So you can see how small cryptocurrencies actually still are and how much potential there is for cryptocurrency to grow. What do you think is going to happen to prices of cryptocurrencies if the crypto market cap were to go to $1 trillion or 2 trillion or 5 trillion or 10 trillion? 10 trillion is still not that crazy, especially if you consider that it's not just about money. There's all sorts of different cryptocurrencies with all sorts of different cases. They are not all trying to be digital money. If even just a fraction of the world's wealth were to flow into cryptocurrencies, it would boost prices enormously. And Bitcoin would get a nice boost, but some of the cryptocurrencies, the lower cap ones, like I mentioned earlier, that have a market cap of maybe in the millions or tens of millions, those have potential for 20x, 50x, 100x, maybe even more than 100x over the coming years. So the potential is absolutely huge. The risk is high, but the potential is absolutely huge. And the risk when you invest in cryptos is limited to the amount that you put in. So this means you can choose. If you want to put $100 into crypto, that's what you're willing to risk, you know. And if instead of going out for the weekend and instead of going partying and buying bottle service for $2,000, you want to take that $2,000 and put it into crypto, you know. Or if you don't want to go on holiday and you want to save $5,000 on that you would have spent on a holiday anyway, and you put that into crypto, right? There's not much risk to you because you would have spent the money anyway, and instead of the holiday, well, you put it into crypto. Worst case, you lose the $5,000, which you would have spent anyway. Best case, it does 100x and turns into $500,000. So that's kind of it, And I just wanted to share some quotes here. This is some of the most incorrect tech predictions of all times. You can see over here, just some of them. Remote shopping, while entirely feasible, will flop. From Time magazine. Cell phones will absolutely not replace local wire systems. You know what happened there. I predict the internet will soon go spectacularly supernova in 1996, catastrophically collapse. You can see there, that was said in 1995. Well, that was pretty wrong, right? You can see over here, Stephen Chen, the CTO and co-founder of YouTube. There's just not that many videos I want to watch. How many videos are being uploaded every single day to YouTube? It's absolutely exploded, right? 2006, everyone's always asking me when Apple will come out with a cell phone. My answer is probably never. I'm recording this on an iPhone right now, so hey, that was pretty wrong. There's no chance the iPhone is going to get any significant market share. Again, completely incorrect. So you can see all of these predictions that people have about tech. Some of them are just so completely wrong. And people are always making calls about this is going to be good and this is going to be bad and all that kind of stuff. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because a lot of people are saying that about cryptocurrencies too. Oh, cryptocurrency is garbage. It's a scam. It's never going to get big. You can't buy anything with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is never going to get big. All that kind of stuff, And then you look at these predictions and you're like, well, maybe they're completely wrong. And maybe cryptocurrencies will be the future. Maybe in future. And there's a lot of signs pointing towards this. This is not just something that I'm just saying for the sake of, hey, it could be possible. Literal central banks and countries are working on digital bank central currencies based on blockchain and cryptocurrency technology. Okay, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin has been around more than 10 years and it's just starting to increase adoption. As with any new technology, it takes time for that adoption to penetrate enough market share for it to really become significant and get a real use case. Okay, here's more. We'll never make a 32-bit operating system, Bill Gates said. The idea of personal communicator in every pocket is a pipe dream. There's no reason for an individual to have a computer in his home, right? That's kind of like what people are saying about Bitcoin, like and crypto. Oh, there's no reason for it. Why would anyone use it? It's not secure. It's difficult to use. Blah 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 blah. Right? And just show them this because a lot of people who make these predictions early on, they might end up being completely wrong, and that's why the asymmetrical nature of the bets that you can make on cryptocurrency is so interesting because we are so early. And with anything, when you get in early, the risk is the highest, but so is the potential return. Look at shares, right? If you get in shares early, Google, Facebook, Amazon, there was a risk because the company wasn't established. It was still small, but the potential upside was massive. And sure, you can buy those things today still, but what is the potential of a 10x in Amazon from these levels? Much less than it was a decade ago. Same thing with cryptocurrencies. Yes, in future, you might still be able to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies, but at what level will that be? Versus now, the risk is much higher because we don't know if they're going to succeed. We don't know if they're going to get adoption. We don't know if they're still going to be around in 5 or 10 or 20 years from now. That's the risk that we take. But the potential upside that we get as reward, if we are correct, is incredibly high. So the hedge fund manager Paul Tudor Jones, multi-billionaire, actually came out and said he has got over 1%, just over 1% of his assets in Bitcoin. And that is huge because previously, a couple of years ago, institutions, hedge funds, billionaires, family offices, they wouldn't touch it. They think, oh, it's just some fad or some internet money or some short-term thing. It's way too risky, way too volatile. But now we're starting to see people warm up to the idea of, hey, just putting 1% or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5% of your wealth in cryptocurrencies has the potential for enormous upside. And worst case, you risk what you put in. So if you put in 1%, right, if you lose 1% of your net worth, it's not really a big deal. And sure, it's not as good as not losing and it's not as good as winning. But if you lose 1%, it's not the end of the world, right? But if that 1% turns into 20 or 30 or 50% or 100% gain on the entire portfolio, that is, of course, massive. And that is why cryptocurrencies are so interesting. And other people are starting to see this, okay? Like I'm showing you right here. Billionaires, hedge funds, family offices, Other people are starting to see this, and they're talking specifically about Bitcoin, which is completely understandable because Bitcoin is the largest, it's the most well-known, it has the highest security in terms of the biggest computer network with hash rate protecting it, it has the longest track record, all that kind of stuff. So other cryptocurrencies are probably way too risky, but Bitcoin is already starting to get some interest. And over time, once people start getting used to Bitcoin and Bitcoin really grows up, right? So you have Bitcoin here and you have all these other cryptocurrencies. If Bitcoin increases enough, then the potential for these other altcoins to go up much more is huge. And then some of this money from Bitcoin is going to start flowing into altcoins, and then they're going to start pumping, and then the whole market as a whole goes much, much higher, or has the potential to, at least anyway. So I hope you enjoyed this insight into cryptocurrencies and why I think there's such a big potential as an asymmetric bet with a small risk and a huge potential upside into cryptocurrencies. As always, if you did enjoy this video, please smash the like button, give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate that because it does help this video go out to more people on YouTube. Of course, if you do have any questions or you just want to say thanks, or you have any other alternative inputs, or you don't agree with anything, leave a comment down below and I do read all of them personally. I will reply to you personally. And if you haven't done so yet and you enjoy this content and you want to know more about cryptocurrency, subscribe to the channel. All you need to do is hit the subscription bell. It's completely free, and then click the notification bell after you subscribe. Now, before I let you go, I just want to let you know that if you do want to learn more about cryptocurrencies and you want a community where you can talk to investors all around the world who own cryptocurrency and stocks and real estate, and you want personal access to me where you can ask tech questions and you can ask anything you want about cryptocurrencies, I do have a premium education group and community that you can join. It's all about cryptocurrencies. The link is in the description below. And besides the fact that there's a private community, you get access to all sorts of education. So I've got a complete beginner's course to get you up to scratch about cryptocurrencies. I've got a technical analysis and trading course. I've got special reports. Every single month I write a 30-page newsletter, 30 to 40 pages, with my insights and updates about the cryptocurrency market. And you get all of that as a member of Intelligent Cryptocurrency. So if you want to learn more about that, the link is in the description below, or you can simply go to intelligentcryptocurrency.com. Thanks for watching. Please give this a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.